Sharon, welcome to the podcast. Thank you ever so much for giving up your time to come and have a chat with me today. Now,
Okay.
on my podcast, people that watch my podcast like to listen to things about coincidence and synchronicity. And you
Okay.
know, as a counsellor, the history of Carl Jung and the importance of synchronicity that he brought into the field to
Yeah.
recognise that there's more going on than we can explain about life generally, right?
Okay.
Is that something you'd agree with?
Do I believe that things happen for a reason? No, honestly. Um, do I believe in I believe in coincidence, whether it's coincidence on purpose or not is different. I don't think I do.
You mean if it has any meaningful coincidence, like if it has
Yeah,
deep meaning for a person,
yeah.
person is giving it that meaning.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think it's like if you're a positive person,
Hmm.
you will always find good things. And like the weather, to me, is fantastic. The sun shining, the buds are blossoming, or whatever. Some people say, "Oh, it's going to be hot, and the grass will dry out," and they'd always find their negatives. And I think that's like with coincidence. You can think, "Oh, that was gonna happen, wasn't it? Oh, flipping it, this happened because it always happens to me."
As well on the TikTok, Sharon, I know you go on the TikTok, and I don't know if this one would have come across your path. There's this thing at the moment that there's a girl that does it, and she says, "I'm a very lucky girl. I'm having a very lucky day," and she looks for all the good things that happen in that day, and then they do happen. And there's a guy
Yeah,
that does it who says, "I'm going to have my best day," and then he looks for reasons to say why this day is the best day and why it's really
yeah,
good, and then to send photos of the best parts of his day to his partner so that at the end of the day they've got good things to talk about rather
yeah.
than all the negativity.
Fab, fabulous. But when I had my stroke, I'm so lucky that I'm a positive person because it just didn't stop my future. It could have, um, but I remember thinking the kids are what I'm here for. Yeah,
Okay, so Sharon, how old were you when you had a stroke?
40.
40.
Yeah.
Okay, and how old were your children?
My son was 10 days old and my daughter was 3.5.
Oh, so it was
Then,
life changing for you.
yeah, yeah, for all of us, husband, kids, yeah, because it was a bad stroke as well. I was in hospital 3 months. So,
What sort of experiences had you had up to that point with were you fit and well? So your life changed
yeah, my,
completely.
I was probably a spoil. In I don't mean materially, I just mean hardly anything negative had happened in my life. Um, my my parents had split up when I was in my 20s, and I my great uncle had died. I mean, I was so privileged, really, and then that happened.
Mm. And it must have made you question. 3 months in hospital is a lot of time to be recovering. So during that recovery time, were there periods when you were questioning what on earth, why?
Um, Funny enough, I think I was too ill. Um, so all I remember thinking of anything, because it was the same year that the July bombings happened,
Okay.
and I'd had the stroke in June, and I was in hospital in a tower block. And I just remember being scared if anything happened, how would they get me out? Because I couldn't get me out. Um, and I remember that. I sadly for my son and my daughter, really, I was too ill to miss them.
Mm.
Um,
You're just getting through it, just
yeah,
surviving.
yeah.
And so, did you have a strong faith in God beforehand and
Yes.
after? And did that event change your thoughts?
It did. I had a strong belief in God anyway. I was raised uh, religiously, and but then in my latter years, I just no big deal. I wasn't religious, but I still had belief in God. Um, but the stroke, it made me think more of God, but that was all. And then me and my husband split up about 18 months in. And then I didn't, I don't think I literally reached out for God, but gradually I thought, yeah, I'm going to meetings and I took kids and yeah. So then I became back into religion again and regularly going for many years.
Mm. So, did the stroke and separating from your husband, did that sort of guide you back to this is a source of support that I've been used to having?
I think so. I think so. I suppose I'm the sort of person that needs a purpose, and that gave me purpose. Um, although, funny enough, I think I've told you I'm not practicing again, which is weird because I was a practicing Christian for about 15, 16 years, if not more. But yeah, I guess my husband's not a believer. And he's the same one I got back with him. So it's the same guy. Oh, that's a story and a half. But yeah,
So, you
so
got back together with him. How long was the gap? How long was the break?
uh well, we split up twice. The first gap was about, oh crumbs, I can't remember now, but 18 months, 2 years maybe. Um, and then we got back together, but I was then practicing, and I think he thought he could deal with that, but couldn't. So we coexisted in the same household for years. Um, and then we split up in lockdown again. And that time for a few years, and we're back together again.
So, you
Go
are
on.
no longer practicing. So, now you're no longer practicing, and
Yeah,
he doesn't mind either way, or he finds it easier now you're not practicing.
he does find it easy, and now I'm
Mm.
not practicing, but I always say to him, I will do what's right for me, what's in
Mm.
my heart. And but it's now that the kids are older, they're not religious.
Mm.
So I think gradually all my family isn't practicing. Oh, my mum, but love her, she's 80 odd.
Mm.
Yeah, and my friends, my best friend that I've known since I was 11, none of my friends are Christian, and so yeah.
It's
Uh,
interesting, isn't it? How we
mm,
find people that have the same beliefs as us. And it's like we can live in a sort of echo chamber, can't we?
yeah,
Of just people that reflect back for us. Oh, yeah, that's what happened. That's what's happening. You
yeah.
know, it's a bit like, strangely, the law of attraction. What do you feel about the law of attraction? With the law of attraction, whatever you put out there, you attract back to you. Right? This is the theory, right? And
Mm.
it could be a lovely scam, right? Giant scam, or it could, we don't know this, right? there's people out there that will argue scientifically for the idea that
Mm.
things, magnets attract and things that are like each other. People have said it for years, birds of a feather flock
Yeah.
together, right? It's a natural thing that happens. But what do you feel about the law of attraction?
Um, I actually think there's something in it to a degree. So, like I do believe happiness brings happiness. You smile at someone, they're gonna smile back. Um, your positive energy is contagious. All of that I believe. And to a degree, some of the law of attraction, but then I'm also of the mindset, I think, you know, if you think of Ukraine and Gaza, um, and the people that are suffering in and all over the world in different ways,
Mm.
I just think that they didn't ask for that. They didn't do anything to attract that. So I think you can bring positive energy and things to you, but only to a certain degree.
Yeah, so it's having influence on your surroundings, but
Yeah,
not being able to control the bigger
yeah,
story,
yeah, yeah.
possibly. But we don't know. Again, we're back on in the realm of we don't know, Sharon.
No, we
No,
don't know.
we don't know. So thinking about coincidences
Mhm.
and things that are a bit odd, bit weird, like deja vu. Have you ever had the experience of deja vu?
I guess so. I can't actually think of an instant now, but I remember having said, "Oh, deja vu." Um,
Nothing that was so pronounced
Nothing
that it would
that's
cause a
so,
memory for you.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So,
No, no.
have you ever had any coincidences like you've been abroad and you've met people abroad that are from the same area?
Yes,
Have
I
you?
have actually. I that did strike me, but then
Go on, what happened? Let's just say
there
there's no
was
meaning. What's the story? Let's hear the
nothing
story.
amazing. Years ago, when Maya was tiny, um, yeah, I hadn't had my stroke, so no, I wasn't born. Don't think. Yeah, and we saw another family with a little girl who was nursery with Maya.
And
So
where were you? What country were you in?
Portugal.
Mm.
Um, and we'd stopped, like it wasn't just, oh, we saw them on the beach or whatever. We were in uh an outdoor shopping centre where you could stop for coffees and all that. So yeah, the kids were playing and that was lovely.
What are the
Um,
chances? See, to me, that's
uh,
what the chances. A child that she plays with at play school,
I know.
and then you travel thousands of miles,
Mm,
and then she's still playing with the same child.
mm, mm. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Things like that, I think, wow. But then I think it's a small world. 7 billion. That's,
I
yeah,
thought,
8 billion.
mm, I
Yeah,
thought it was
it's
nine, but could be.
a
But
lot.
again, we're back to the Mandela effect thing because how many people are on the planet is part of that Mandela effect thing where people have got different memories about what's happened. Have you
Yeah.
heard of the Mandela effect?
No,
Mandela
no.
effect is a thing where there's a whole group of people who remember that Nelson Mandela died. And there's a whole group of people that say he didn't die. He came out of prison and he went on to live a life and then he died in much later on, 2013. So there's two
Right.
different types of thinking about
Yeah.
this. And that's why it's called the Mandela effect, because it's so pronounced, this big deal about him being alive or dead. But there
Yeah.
are lots of other things that people remember differently from other people. And people put it down to, oh, it's just your way of thinking. You're mistaken. It was a rumor. Somebody misquoted it in a
Yeah.
newspaper somewhere, and then half the world are believing one thing and half the world are believing something
Yeah.
else.
But
Probably.
also, it's down to perception, isn't it? Like, you we both would describe my lounge now, and we'd describe it totally differently because of the way you perceive it and the way I perceive it.
But we
So
would both agree you've
yeah,
got window frames.
huh?
We'd both agree that you've got
Yeah.
window frames.
Yes. Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
facts. Because as you're talking, I was thinking about the other idea about rescuing people and thinking about counselling, and that's a type of behaviour that people learn to
Yeah.
rescue other people,
Yeah.
right? In a sort of everyday situation. But
Yeah.
sometimes people are rescued in extreme situations, like from a life death situation.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience where you've been on the receiving end of being rescued?
Well, not actually being rescued. Um, no, I guess not. I just straight away think back to my stroke because that was being rescued, but not actually from a situation. No,
Like an earthquake or something. So
no.
when you had your stroke, where were you?
At home.
You was at home. Were you on your
Oh,
own?
well, I was at home ish. I knew something was wrong, and then um, I called my mum, I think, to come and babysit because Graham was gonna take me up the hospital. And but by the time she arrived, one of my legs had gone weak and I needed help getting to the car. Um, and I passed out when I was at hospital and yeah, I was
So
out.
when you think about that little set of circumstances, Graham got back first, got you in the car, and then your mum
Yeah,
came and
yeah,
looked after the children, and then you got to hospital.
yeah, yeah.
Mm. And have you ever rescued anyone?
No, no, I'm sorry, Pete.
You've rescued someone in a lots of smaller ways. I'm sure
Oh, I
you've
hope
done that.
so.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you have. You've rescued people in smaller ways, but you
Mm.
probably wouldn't think about them as rescuing. Like for me,
No.
for instance, I give people tissues. I carry tissues around with me, right? It's a form of rescue, right? I mean, it is just a small act. Somebody's
Yeah,
crying, you give them the
but
tissues, right? But if that person is bleeding or whatever and you're giving tissue, you've rescued, right? I know. I know. It's making mountains out of molehills on this side, Sharon.
it's
I'm
lovely.
creating meaning with these little behaviours, right? Now I carry around a separate carrier bag. And when someone has not got their carrier bag or they've forgotten, I give them a carrier bag.
Wow,
That sort of thing. I know. It's a thing that I've developed over the years, Sharon. It's a
that's
peculiar quirk that I've got.
really lovely. I
Thank you,
used to
Mandy.
be a hairdresser and owned salon. Well, me and another girl owned two salons, and we trained as well and did training and loved that. And that I would say I rescued people. Um, I worked with. I just remember one girl really struggling with even getting out of bed.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't know then, obviously, what I would become. But now I just think, why didn't I think? Because even then I used to say, look, if you get out of bed in the morning, you be proud of yourself. And she other people were saying, "Come on, you can do this and you can do that." And uh, even then, I was saying, "If that's all you can do, well done, you." And yeah, just and different ones that struggled in different ways. I loved it.
No, they
Loved.
do say there's loads of hairdressers out there that are doing the work of therapists, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they
They
say
are.
that, don't they?
Yeah. And that's a natural part of you that came out while you're hairdressing. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what helped you to realize that that was a path for you.
Wow. No,
No?
no.
No.
Um, my training was good. My training was that you shouldn't give advice. You should listen, which is great. That's unusual, I think, for some salons now, but um, uh, that was great. And then I had my stroke, didn't work. I think a friend of mine was a counsellor, and she said you should look into it. And I was like, I can't work, can't do anything. And then she said, you can. You're sitting there, you're listening to people mainly, and that's when I started looking into it. And but even then, I didn't intend on doing it. I did the intro course out of curiosity, and each section I didn't put pressure on me to do. I was just, I'll see how it goes. Oh, this is interesting. And yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's lovely, isn't it? So you had a gentle,
yeah,
gently just went through the process rather
yeah,
than goal driven and
yeah. Because I suffer fatigue,
mm.
so I can burn out quite easily. So yeah, it was
Oh,
all about taking it slowly, no pressure.
no pressure. Have
Mindset.
you had any strange or unexplained experiences, or has your husband had any experiences that he likes to tell us a story that was something weird that happened?
He will downplay everything and flatten it because he won't even give me a whisper that, oh, that might have been God's involvement. So, yeah, no, for him. For me, I, I, I don't know. If anything had happened, I'd probably like downplay it because I'm a believer that God is letting us mess around and He's not giving me favor over you or the poor kids in Ukraine or hungry children. And when the time's right, He'll make it right for everyone.
Do you believe in divine timing? Like, do you ever think this happened at exactly the right time and
No,
that was no?
no.
So that's just luck. So if things all fall into place, for instance, if you're traveling and everything works, that's just sort of
Yeah,
luck.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Back to that thing about having a lucky day then. So if it's all just luck and you can create your own luck by thinking, oh, I'm going to have a lucky day, lucky things going to happen, I'm going to look out for the lucky, I'm going to look out for the positive, it means then you've got more power and control over what's happening in life than
absolutely.
if you believe
And
in
like
divine
you
timing.
say, you look for the positive. So you the fact that you were queuing for 20 minutes, you don't clock that. You just think, oh, and I got through on time. And you don't think of the negatives, do you?
It's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it? It's like trying to prove a negative. It's very hard to prove a negative, but you've got something to show for the positive, haven't
Yeah.
you? When you're
Yeah.
creating what's happening.
Hmm.
Brilliant. Thank you. What other question have I got for you? Let me just see. Have you ever been on the receiving end of any extreme weather?
God, I have. I only, I can't think of any, like, so it can't be awful, apart from in, when was it? 1980 something, those horrendous winds.
Storm when all the trees came
Yeah,
down. Was it 1989?
yeah. And I left my car in Westcliff, which was fine. Went to get it the next day and had to get someone to come and remove a tree from the windscreen or whatever. Yeah, yeah. But I personally haven't had anything.
Can you remember why you left your car in Westcliff?
I probably had too much fun.
So because you were doing the right thing, you were not drinking and driving
Mm,
your car.
mm,
I mean,
yeah.
we just got no way of knowing what would have happened or what
No,
could have happened.
no.
And then this happened to your car. What did
Yeah,
you think at the time? Did you just think, thank God I wasn't in that? Or did you think, well, these things,
yeah.
why is it my car? Or what did you think?
No, I don't. I just think I thought, oh, my car's damaged. Yeah, it wouldn't occur to me to think that that could have been me in there. Yeah, I, I am. I mean, my daughter said something the other day. Oh yeah, but I wouldn't ask you, Mum, because you're not sentimental like that. Or yeah, I'd expect Dad to keep. Oh, that's right. Something in the garden
Mm,
that marked her goldfish very
okay.
well. So she was only about 3 when it died, and we buried it. Of course, you do in the garden. Um, and we'd got rid of the thing that marked it.
Designated the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was so upset. And she was like, oh, yeah, but I suppose you're, but Dad should have known because I just am not that way. Not sentimental, not coincidental. I'm just like, oh, well, that happened.
Yeah, the facts. These are the facts. My car's got
Yeah.
a tree on it. Yeah, okay, let's deal with that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I do love to interpret the meanings of things that happen in a
Oh,
metaphysical way, like putting analogy on things.
okay. Yeah.
Like when people think about their boundaries and you think about having the boundary of your person, like the garden of your house, like the wall.
Yeah.
I like the idea of using metaphysical
Right.
story,
Okay.
picture, narrative onto
Yeah.
that, and then thinking, what is the universe trying to tell me about that? What is
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I loved the
Yeah.
idea of doing that. How do you feel about using analogy?
Analogy I like very much actually. Because I do believe that visualizes things for you. Um, but do I then think what is the universe trying to tell me? No, no. Ju- uh, why would it tell me anything? That's how I think. Uh,
Yeah. And this idea, because we're back to that, is this a reflection of what's coming out of me? What am I
mm,
doing over here? What's the reflection in me that's
mm.
attracted this?
Yeah,
But the thing for you is you were completely safe. You were nowhere near your car with the. So what was coming out of you was completely safety and security and belief that you're okay. And then you come back and see this
yeah,
disaster that's befallen. I mean, a lot of people that would have floored them, wouldn't it? They would
yeah.
be like, oh my God, this terrible thing happened to my car.
Yeah, true. Very true. But yeah.
Like, have you ever had a hunch of, see, this is the thing. If you've had a hunch of not to go somewhere, you're no way of knowing of what would have happened if you hadn't followed your hunch, right?
No.
Because it's the negative. But have you ever had that experience where you felt a really strong intuition, don't do this, don't go there? Like from yourself telling you, like how you felt on the inside said,
I
walk away.
don't recall. Having said that, I would maybe I did, I don't know, in the years when I was not practicing before I had my stroke, maybe. But I also think like silly things like when they say uh if you crack a mirror or break
Oh,
a
yeah.
mirror, bad luck for 7 years.
Superstition. Mm,
Or walk under a ladder. That's it. That
yeah.
one. I would walk under it on purpose to prove,
But it was just
prove that
nonsense. It was
it's
just
okay.
superstition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's
Think,
the thing about
yeah.
that is that if you believe walking under a ladder is going to be terrible for you, what's to
It will
say?
be.
Well, how do we know? This is the thing. And if you think walking under there's fine, it's going to be fine. So you're not proving it. You're only proving it to
No.
people who already believe what you believe.
Yeah.
There's someone else out there that will believe the opposite and can
Yeah.
prove the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it just shows you how important our beliefs are and what
Yeah.
we're thinking can
Yeah.
really affect our lives.
Yeah. What you tell yourself is half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
So how are you finding counselling, Sharon? Is there anything about your counselling journey that you would recommend to anyone else?
I love it.
Mm.
Absolutely love it. of you learn so much about yourself, don't you, and why you react certain ways. Um, I I just love. I still love working with young people. Um,
What sort of
I've
ages?
worked with a couple of youngsters, well, I say young, like in the 20s,
Mm.
who have had similar things to me. Well, one had had a stroke, and one had got CFS, chronic fatigue
Big
syndrome.
syndrome. Mm.
And uh, when she was in her early 20s,
Mm.
and it was life changing for her, and different experiences like that. I love talking to people, and yeah, not showing them, but talking to them about other paths. Um, I just remember being a teenager and thinking, I wish I had more than one life so I could have lots of different paths.
Big
You know,
time.
one where I was hairdresser, one where I wanted to be a lawyer, one where I was a house like designer,
Mm.
you know, a counsellor now.
Mm.
So I, when someone's been ill, they can follow the other path, one of the other paths, can't they? That's
Wow.
what I see it.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
what I love. I do remember my OT saying to me about 6 months after, would you like to meet someone a year on from you? And
And
I said, is she cured?
mm.
She said, no, she's managing. So I said, no, I'm not ready to meet her then. Because I didn't want to know that I couldn't be well. Uh, so yeah, uh,
Oh, it's so hard, isn't it? Because
yeah,
they're probably thinking, look, this is going to give you hope. This is what
yeah,
you, this is how well
yeah,
she's doing after a year. But that is unfair
yeah.
because it is comparing you. And who knew or knows where the recovery, how long it's going to
You
take?
don't
You
know,
don't know.
no. And it, well, as it happens, recovery wasn't what I'd hoped. However, I didn't want to know that yet.
No. And
I
also, you
wasn't
didn't want to know,
ready.
be compared to another person.
No,
Well, you
I
can't, you
just
can never
wasn't
compare yourself to
ready
another
to accept.
person.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I will say about my journey is uh, I, apparently most counsellors think it of when you qualify is scary. It's scary because you are managing people's emotions and in theory helping them, but you are responsible, and that is quite scary, I found. Um, it's only the more I'm doing it and the more I'm getting to know people that you think, yeah, actually, it's also a privilege. But
It's
phew,
huge privilege, huge
yeah,
privilege.
yeah, it really is. Um, yeah, that people trust you and unload on you is like remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working on the boundaries and working on recognizing there's so much to learn, isn't there, Sharon? It's
Hmm.
recognizing that what the other person expects from you as a
Hmm.
counselor. Because if they know what to expect from you, then they won't say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do this and you didn't
No,
do this. And then
no,
so your feeling of responsibility, if you're communicating about it and it's all clear,
yeah,
that feeling
yeah,
of, oh, have I done something wrong? Can I do
yeah,
something wrong? I mean, of course you can do something
theory,
wrong. Of course you can. And you can't easily measure other
yeah,
people's emotion.
no,
And it is messy and it is painful and it is sometimes hard work that you're left worrying about things afterwards. But
yeah,
sometimes it's really, and that's a completely natural part of it.
and I guess that the worrying about people is because you care. So that's not a bad thing. Um, and to give people that self-esteem or give them it back to show them actually they're still in there. They don't need to be scared to say boo. Yeah,
Mhm.
uh,
And so many different people have different reasons why they come for
yeah,
counselling, and they come
yeah,
just to want someone to talk
yeah,
to at the wit's end, or
yeah.
sometimes they just need guidance. And of course, therapy is not to tell people what to do, but
No,
people do ask for help. I don't know what to do.
yeah, yes, yeah. That's not tricky. That it is enlightening for some people. Oh, you're not going to tell me what to do. No, I'm going to help you decide what to do.
Mm.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
um,
And then there's all different types of therapy that people can choose. And
yes,
it must be confusing for people to know which type of therapy
yeah,
they should choose, because they don't know, because they haven't had the training. So they
no,
think, well, should I choose solution focused, or should I have
yeah,
some CBT, or should I have some
yeah,
EMDR,
yeah.
or should I have
What
some
do
person
they mean?
centered, or
Yeah,
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 which one do I go for?
yeah, absolutely. Um, I will say. I had a realization, funny enough, yesterday.
Mm.
Um, I've thought it before, but yesterday I was like, yes, I'm so glad that I was trained person-centered because everything I've added onto it has seemed to be better, or not better, I
More
shouldn't say,
effective. More effective?
for me,
Hmm.
better because of those core conditions.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, if you can have, yeah, the core unconditional positive regards, empathy, and what's it, a congruence, you're halfway there for everything.
And some
So
people have
for
never had
me,
that experience in their lives, in their real everyday lives. They've never had a person offer them that.
no, 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 no. I love it. I'm so glad that that's my center.
Did it
Um,
feel to you? I know you, when you said you first started training and you did it gently and you took one step at a time, but once you got into it and you learned how to do it, does it feel like a calling? Does it feel like it's your
yeah.
meaning of
Oh,
what you're here for right
totally.
now?
And like as I look back to experiences, especially in the salons, where I think, oh my goodness, uh, I was not doing it because you don't train for 4 years and not learn anything, but I was doing so much of it naturally. So to then add the proper tools and knowledge, yeah, I do. I feel like this is where I belong.
Oh, fabulous.
Mm.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's great to be able to help other people to get
yeah.
into that
Love
position
it.
of acceptance of what they're doing, the
Yeah.
feeling that they're doing the right thing, because life's so much easier when you've got a straight line ahead and you know what you're
Oh,
doing.
yeah. I love it. I can't believe that I've only come to this age. But maybe that was meant to see that. See, I'm doing a year
There we
meant
go.
to be.
I'm
But
rubbing off on you
my
now.
life experiences have meant that it's right for me now.
That's
So
how I feel about it. I feel like everyone comes to it at a certain time,
mm,
depending on what it is that they're offering to people. Because you can
yeah,
get some counsellors who are in their 20s, in their 30s, and they identify and relate to younger
yeah,
people really, really well. And then you get some older counsellors and they relate to younger people really,
yeah,
really well because of the next generation. You know,
yeah. It's you say that, but I saw someone only yesterday that said, "Do you think I'm too young to be
mm,
a counsellor?" And
oh,
she's
okay.
20.
Mm,
So she said, I've always thought they should be older. So I said, well, I know some in their 20s. And she went, right. What do you think? I said, well, I said, the thing is, you would like to counsel children.
hmm
I said, so I don't, it's different maybe if you're seeing a senior citizen who's getting a divorce. Maybe she'd want a bit more life experience, but she wants to counsel children.
And so she's closer to them in
Yeah,
that connection.
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I think counselling is something you can do at any age, and
Mm,
learning to, because it's a lifelong journey, and you just never stop learning about things
no.
because things change.
Mm,
So for a person in their 20s, they're still right up to date with how internet's affected
yeah,
people, TikTok's affected people, and they've had a completely different life
yeah.
experience, which possibly someone of our generation wouldn't necessarily
No.
have a real deep
Wouldn't-
understanding of what that felt like.
Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't get. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon. I think that's everything from my side. Is there anything that you want to say to people about your counselling services and how they can contact you? Because I will put a little link for people to be able to contact you for counselling services. Obviously, do you work? Can people meet you
Yeah,
in person?
I work face to face in person or whatever. From Prittlewell House, East
Prittlewell,
Street in
lovely.
Southend.
Which is a beautiful
Um,
building, isn't it?
yeah.
It's a
Oh,
lovely
it's
building, and there's
amazing.
parking there.
There's parking. It's ground floor, which I like.
Ground floor,
Um,
and also
it's
people can have a
not
little.
got wheelchair access.
Okay,
But it is ground floor, but there is a step. Um, and I also work online because, well, with um, illness and things like that, I work all over the country. So,
brilliant,
yeah.
fantastic. And would you say that you've got a niche area that you're sort of working towards? Oh, this is where you're really confident, and you're finding that people of in this sort of niche area
Young
are coming to you.
people, definitely. Um, young people who just want to find the right way, the way for them. They feel they should know and don't. And we know that, of course, they don't. But they're told by school and oh, you've got to choose your career path by 18. Um,
I
a
can't
lot
believe
of
we're still
that.
doing that to people. I mean,
Oh,
I thought it was bad when in our day and age when
yeah.
choices, we got two choices. You can go and work in a shop, or you can go and work in a cafe, restaurant or
Yeah,
shop, which is it you want or
absolutely.
whatever. But
Yeah.
with all the choices now, with the exposure to information on the internet, how on earth are
Oh,
they meant to make that
oh,
choice?
it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Um, yeah, they are given that rigid path. And it's nice to be able to free them from that. And obviously anyone who's had any life-changing impact. So it could be a partner of someone
Mm,
that's had the life change or child or
mm.
just those are probably my speciality areas.
Thanks, Sharon. And is there a charity anywhere that's involved with survivors of stroke and their families? Is there a charity out there that helps
There
people?
are quite a few.
Where?
Um, there's the Stroke Association,
Mm,
Different Strokes,
mm,
which is for younger people that have had strokes, and
mm.
they've got branches all over the country. Well, all of them have, but yeah.
So
Uh,
it's really quite, I don't
oh
want to say a
yeah.
common thing, but it's really quite prevalent out there in
Yes.
society, is it, having
Yeah, that's
strokes?
a good word. Prevalent.
Mm.
Yeah. I saw a couple of posts on Facebook yesterday, and I was like, because when I was younger, I thought stroke was for
It's for
old
old
people.
people.
Um, but apparently even babies can
Goodness.
have strokes.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know if it's becoming more common or not, but certainly more awareness.
That's probably more what it is. Yeah, people are talking about it more on social
Yeah,
media. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, then, Sharon. Well, thanks ever so much for your time. It's lovely to chat with you. And fingers crossed, maybe we can even do this again sometime in a few
Yeah.
months or whenever you feel up to it.
Thank you, Tamasin.
Ciao.
Yes, it wasn't nearly as scary as I thought. Thank you.
Take care,
See
Sharon.
you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.